Gut Punched, Alzheimer's, and Caregivers. Navigating the insidious illness of Alzheimer's is something nobody asks for. The disease sneaks up on you and your loved one, and it feels like you've been sucker punched in the gut. Then you ask, where do we turn for help? Who do we call? What do we do? These questions and more are what we hope to answer and give you some direction and hope. Now let's join our host, Jeff Edwards.
Greetings and welcome. This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, episode 70, or My Wife is in the 1%. A discussion about my education of what happens when your wife's brain encounters an amyloid-clearing medication. Really? Hi, I'm your host, Jeff Edwards, and we're honored to have you along. We took a couple of weeks off to regroup, recharge, and catch up. And we lost some time due to my wife's battle with a nasty side effect from an amyloid-clearing drug. My wife, unfortunately, experienced massive brain swell and brain bleed. She lost the use of her left arm, left leg, and lost most of her vision in the left eye and part of her right eye. But fortunately, with heavy-duty steroids, rest, physical therapy, and prayer, the swelling is still receding, and physically, she's getting all her functions back. But through all this, as a caregiver, I was served up a very important education, one that we wanted to share and hope that it helps you as much as it helped me. But first, welcome to September. Did you know September is World Alzheimer's Awareness Month, with September 21st being the day that organizations worldwide make global efforts to raise societal awareness and challenge stigmas associated with Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's is the most common cause of dementia and is a term used to describe cognitive changes in memory loss, which also impair thinking and behavior. Dementia will be the third leading cause of death globally by 2040. Anyone who has a loved one with Alzheimer's or another form of dementia understands the strain it can place on relationships and the grief that happens to loved ones as the disease progresses. Now, this wouldn't be Gut Punched if we didn't go over our tenets or rules. The tenets we follow at Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, are simple. Number one, you have to take care of yourself, because if something happens to you, who is going to take care of your loved one? Number two, you can't do it alone. You need help. Find good caregiver groups or network with friends or relatives. Number three, make a list of people, friends, relatives, co-workers who have offered to help you in time of need, and then make a list of things you need done but can't do yourself because caregiving duties are overwhelming. Use the lists. Start at the top and keep going till you get what you need done. You'll find it very helpful. Number four, create a help signal. Identify a cue or phrase to confirm your loved one is comfortable with receiving help. Something your loved one can remember, or write it down on an index card or something so they can save it and locate it. It will help put them at ease. And number five, caregiving. Love it or hate it. It will be your life till it's not. Give it your all. If you like what you hear, subscribe to the podcast. Please leave us a 5-star review and help us grow and share this podcast with others who have someone who has a family member or friends or dealing with a loved one who has Alzheimer's or any type of dementia that you would let them know about this podcast. They may need the information and resources. There is help and hope out there for everybody. You just must know where and how to find it, and that's why we're here. So, are you ready to get into Education 101? Well, let's do it. Well, before I move on, in order to get all the information out, I think that we'll have to do the whole Education 101 thing in sections or parts and keep the podcast to a more accommodating time limit. And I understand how valuable your time is as a caregiver. So my wife is in the 1%. Well, it's not what you might think. She's in the 1% of the people who take an amyloid-clearing drug that cannot take it. Little background here. My wife was officially diagnosed in 2018, and though we suspect that she had had it earlier than that, this is where Gut Punch came from, when a doctor gave us his diagnosis. Now, I had no idea what to do, where to go. Hello, Dubin Center, the Alzheimer's Association, caregiver groups, Trial by fire. Research, and then fast forward. We made a lot of changes to diet, exercise, socialization, nutrition. We did a lot. And as I was pondering retirement, after about 55 years in the radio and TV business, I was trying to figure out what to do. Poof. Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers is born. I wanted to be able to give back and help others who need resources and don't know where and how to find them, just like others did for me. So fast forward to the present. My wife was in pretty good shape. Her long-term memory, very good. Short-term memory was slipping a bit, but we were always looking for other solutions. We found and engaged a new doctor. My wife loved her. She felt the doc listened to her and communicated clearly. I refer to her as the brain doctor. She was able to get us the testing that was needed. We started to feel, what's that word again? Hope. I researched some of the available drugs that are out there to help with the disease. We were back and forth for almost a year as to what to try. Of course, we knew the challenges and the risks, and here's where the 1% starts to come into the story. Of course, we knew the challenges and the risks. Here's where the 1% starts to come into the story. After discussion with our brain doctor, we decided on one of the approved medications that worked a little slower, and that was based upon my wife's health history and status. Next up, infusions, MRIs, and procedures. In our case, infusions were to be given every 2 weeks. My wife's first infusion was on June 13th, the second on June 27th, and the third July 18th. Now, there were 3 weeks between 2 and 3 due to the 4th of July falling on a Friday, the day that we'd always got our infusions. The current MRIs required were before the 5th, 7th, and 14th infusions. They do this because they check for ARIA. Amyloid-related imaging abnormalities is a side effect of treatments like Leqembi or Kisunla. Here's a footnote. Well, sometimes things just work out the way they're supposed to work out. As I was preparing this episode of Gut Punch, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, what did I find this morning? From Newsmax, Thursday, August 28, 2025, FDA add tests for Alzheimer's patients on Leqembi. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration said on Thursday it is recommending an additional earlier magnetic resonance imaging monitoring prior to the third infusion for patients with Alzheimer's disease taking Biogen's drug Leqembi. The earlier monitoring can identify individuals with amyloid-related imaging abnormalities with edema, ARIA-E, which is characterized by brain swelling or fluid buildup. The current prescribing information recommends MRI imaging before the 5th, 7th, and 14th infusions. The FDA said it identified 6 deaths early in treatment, which prompted an in-depth analysis of serious and fatal outcomes related to ARIA-E before the 5th Leqembi infusion. Biogen did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment. Now, timing is everything. ARIA is most commonly seen as temporary swelling in areas of the brain that usually resolves over time. And some people may also have small spots of bleeding in or on the surface of the brain, and infrequently, larger areas of bleeding in the brain can occur. However, some people may have symptoms such as headache, confusion, dizziness, vision changes, nausea, difficulty walking, and seizures. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Now, through all the infusions, I watch my wife like a hawk, looking for any changes or issues. Keep that in mind. The week of July 21st, we started noticing some strange things from my wife. She asked me to show her how the microwave worked. She couldn't remember. She asked me how to turn on the TV. She couldn't remember. And same thing with her cell phone. As the week progressed, she was much more tired than before. On the weekend, we went to an Alzheimer's Association fundraiser event. And on Sunday, we went to our Sunday school class. But before that, she cooked her weekly French toast. Aside from the mess she made, if I were to say they were burned black, well, the rest of Sunday, she sat in the recliner and dozed off. Now, Monday, 7/28, the kitchen looked like a bomb exploded in it. A food bomb, that is. My wife got out of bed a few minutes before I did, and when I got up and shuffled out to the kitchen, I thought a bomb had gone off. An oatmeal bomb. There was oatmeal all over the place. I opened the microwave and found 2 bowls of oatmeal that had exploded. Oatmeal everywhere. You know how hard that is to pick up? I mean, everywhere. Some cooked, some not. It was a mess. So I had my wife go sit in the recliner. I told her I would fix her oatmeal, and this was sign number 1. And after I cleaned things up, I went back to my wife, and she was standing looking up to the left out the window, I thought. I asked her what she was doing, and she said, I'm waiting for the fan to turn off. Now, the fan was behind her, and she couldn't see it. Number 2, I see. So I thought something is not right, obviously. So I asked her to please go and get dressed. She tried to stand and couldn't do it. So I had to help her up and asked her to go to the bedroom, but she really couldn't move much, so I helped her walk down the short hall to the bedroom. But it was more me carrying her on my arms and my shoulder to get her there. I sat her on the bed and then decided to put a call into the doctor. Was this normal? I don't know. Is it the drug working as advertised, or was this a side effect? I left a message asking the doctor to call me, and I proceeded to get my wife dressed. When she was dressed, I walked her back to the living room and had her sit down. And I called the doctor's office again and explained what was occurring, and they told me they'd get back to me as the doctor was in with a patient. About 20 minutes later, my wife told me her head hurt, and then that her arm hurt. In all the 41 years, I've never known her to have a headache. And the arm? Sign number 3. So, is this a stroke or a nasty side effect of the drug? I don't know. I called 911, and about 3 minutes later, if that, EMS was in the door. And at the same time, the doctor's office calls back and says, take her to the ER. Done. Now, in the ER. Before going forward, I have to say that the nurses in the ER and throughout our whole ordeal were spectacular, caring, efficient, reassuring. So in the ER, they weren't 100% sure if this was a stroke or something else. They treated her like a stroke victim. They took her to get a CAT scan to see what was going on, and about 15 minutes later, they wheeled her back out. The doctor who did the CAT scan comes out. Do you remember the show Miami Vice and the actor Don Johnson? Do you remember how he dressed in the show? Think about that. So out comes this doctor, dressed like Don Johnson, a suit jacket over a t-shirt, dress pants to match the jacket, shoes with no socks, a scruffy beard, well, kind of like he was growing a beard, and long straight hair. And he announces to all in the room, well, she's got a massive tumor in the brain, and I'm pretty sure it's cancerous. What? What a dumb thing to say out loud. My wife heard it, but unfortunately, she really wasn't coherent at the time. The nurses gasped and said, you can't say that. You can't tell from just a CAT scan. He barked back, well, that's what I think, and I'm sticking to it. Wow. At that point, I knew it wasn't a stroke, and I knew it was most likely the nasty side effect from the drug. Now, here's where some of my education, what I learned, comes in. I did not have the card that our brain doctor had given to me at an earlier date. It says, attention. This individual is on an anti-amyloid therapy for Alzheimer's disease. Here is what the whole card says. Attention. This individual is on an anti-amyloid therapy for Alzheimer's disease. Examples of anti-amyloid therapies include aducanumab, lecanemab, donanemab. Anti-amyloid therapies remove amyloid plaque from the brain and are associated with ARIA, cerebral edema, microhemorrhages, superficial siderosis. ARIA can be identified by MRI brain without CT imaging is unlikely to detect these findings. We recommend caution when considering use of thrombolytics like TPA. Why was this important? Because the symptoms of a stroke are like the side effect symptoms of this particular drug. Had they given her the drug they used to treat a stroke, it would have made the situation much worse and possibly caused death. Fortunately, we dodged that bullet. My lesson number 1, always carry the card just in case of an emergency. Lesson number 2, if you have a loved one that is using one of these new drugs, just pay attention to your loved one during that time they receive the infusion, and extra attention in the weeks after it. Look for any signs of physical changes, mental clarity issues, or behavioral changes. There may come a time when expedience will be necessary to save your loved one's life. Lesson number 3. Realize that a lot of new Alzheimer's drugs that are out to help may not help, and there's your 1%. Lesson number 4. Many doctors, nurses, EMS people have no idea what these Alzheimer's drugs are and what it can do to a person. As the neurologist assigned to my wife told me, and that's a whole other story, but a good one and a very positive one, these drugs are so new that the medical field is just finding out about them and how to treat the patients that are in the 1% whose brain gets pissed off when it encounters the amyloid-clearing drugs. And lesson number 5. I learned as a caregiver, it is your responsibility. One of the many, many responsibilities is to know everything you can about the medicines your loved one is taking, the side effects, and what to do in case it all goes sideways. So in summary, hopefully, you will not have to go through something like this. It's not something anyone does on a regular basis. I know I've never had to go through something like this. I didn't know what to do. It was kind of like think on a fly, as they say. Look, we have no issues with the medicine we had my wife take. We knew there were risks. I know at least 2 people who are on the same medicine, and they have had no side effects like this, and it's helping them. And this is a good thing. Unfortunately, my wife is in the 1% that cannot take the medicine. Who knew? What are the odds? Maybe my wife should buy a ticket to the Powerball this weekend. We hope there was something we mentioned in this episode that resonated with you. Next time, we'll discuss the lessons I learned when it came to the daily care from the nurses, spectacular, the doctors, and the hospital.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
In the fight against Alzheimer's, now matters more than ever. Because now we have treatments that could change everything. But now is no time to stop. Now we've got momentum, so now we use it. Now we seize the moment. Now we turn the tide. Now we make a difference and make some noise. Now is the time to get up, get out, and join the movement. At the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's, held in over 600 communities nationwide, and we need you with us. Because now is the time for hope. Join the fight at alz.org/walk.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Just a reminder that the dates for the Alzheimer's Walk for Life in Southwest Florida are Lee County, November 8th, and Collier County, November 22nd. And for around the U.S., you can go to alz.org and click the link that will give you dates and locations for where you can participate. It's a great thing to do. For more information, reach out to the Dubin Center at dubincenter.com. And you can check out the Alzheimer's Support Network at alzsupport.org. Also, to find your local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, you can visit or call their toll-free hotline at 1-800-272-3900. That's 1-800-272-3900. We mention the guide frequently. It's another great resource and provides help and respite care. It's probably easier to just Google it, Edge it, or DuckDuckGo it. And Dr. Perry's HealthSpan Partners website is https://healthspansouthwestflorida.com. Check out Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers Group on Facebook. I'd like to thank all those who help and contribute each week to build this podcast. I couldn't do it without you. Our website is gutpunch.com, and the email address is gutpunchedac@outlook.com or jeff@gutpunch.com. Thanks for joining us, and please come back again. God bless.
This has been Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, with your host, Jeff Edwards. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to us on all the platforms like Spotify, Apple, Pandora, and more. If you have a question or want to get in touch, our email is gutpunchedac@outlook.com.